Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about the men, the women, the shifting gender roles, and the danger that it represents. Because I believe that as a civilization grows and develops more technology, the opportunity to subvert the values and the virtues that created the society in service of a maladaptive class of people within the society becomes greater and greater until the society, by moving forward and becoming more advanced, actually destroys itself. And I believe this is the danger that we are facing today. But before I get into it, let me just say thank you to everybody who's been stopping by, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, even donating. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Howard Dare channel, because there's a lot of content that I think you would find very useful. So please go ahead, click the subscribe button, click the bell symbol next to it, and accept the email notifications. It'll help me grow my channel, and I'd really appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the men, the women, the shifting gender roles, and the danger that it represents. Because the system that we're dealing with right now, it's almost guaranteed to entrap, ensnare, and destroy a man. It is literally as if the young men are being released into a web, a spider's web, and the woman truly is the parasite, the seductive, luring trap, and their destructive end. And certainly the men who go after the women in this manner. You know, I watch a lot of news clips, and what I find from between the right and the left is, on the left, there's these men, and they want to please and indulge and endorse these feminine ideals and policies, and they smirk, they giggle, they smile as they act smugly. You know, they don't state themselves plainly and directly like a man. They actually adopt the mannerisms of the woman, of the feminists. And there's this elitist shunning of reality. And I find it unsettling to watch. You know, I find it like sickening as a man, right, to find someone giggle at me as if I'm just not cool, right, when it's a full-grown man, and yet he's talking in this girlish, high-pitched voice and acting offended. And I find that very disgusting, sickening even. So I don't mean to harp on it, but I find when the men are indulging in a lot of drama and interpersonal conflict, you know, like I don't like this person or I don't like that person. It's like, well, I don't care who you like. I don't care who you don't like. Go do your job. Put it out of your mind and go do your job. That's what I care about. And it's like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying I don't care about those types of things. Now, something that has occurred to me lately is that people don't know where I stand on a lot of things. And the reason why is because what I choose to do regarding a lot of things that I don't really find worthy is I choose to not comment on them, right? And I just assumed that people would understand, oh, he's not commenting on that. But it has occurred to me that this might not be the case. So I'd just like to say, you know, concerning a lot of things going on lately here in MGTOW, I would just like to say no comment. No, really, you know, as I said, I choose to not be involved in, you know, interpersonal squabbles when I could be addressing the concerns of men who are in need. Not to change the subject abruptly, but did you guys see the State of the Union? Wasn't it fascinating the way the Democrats responded to all the good news and all of the enlightened bipartisan proposals that Trump put forward, and, you know, the accomplishments, like lowest black unemployment rate ever, as if they're not even concerned with the events. You know, they just want to politically besmirch somebody. You know, they don't care about the results. They don't care about getting the job done. They care about political gain. And I find that unsettling as well. So I would suggest that these are behaviors that a man should avoid, and avoid dealing with people, you know, in that manner, getting sucked into it. I find it difficult to watch the news, CNN, MSNBC, because the bias is so strong. It's non-responsive to reality. You know, if this were an emergency room, and I think that's a fine analogy, these people would be in the way. They would not be responding to the situation as it is, but as they respond to it emotionally, as they feel about the situation. I think this is a trap that people can fall into, responding to their own emotions and getting stuck in a kind of loop. I think you can definitely see that in the left, politically, with feminists and men who, adopt these views as if they're being compassionate or enlightened. When they're not, they're being weak. They're going along with the group. Some might suggest that my ideas are unacceptable. This is not the case. I believe in a free market. I believe in individual rights. I don't judge people on anything other than their deeds and their behavior. I might consider, some indicators about their history, certainly, and I, consider that a fundamental right. I mean, nobody can take that away from me or deny that. I will be the judge of everything that I consider and that I decide upon. I will always be the one who decides whether or not I step forward. Life is very much like walking along a dark path where you can't really always see where you're going. And sometimes it's very treacherous. It's a very narrow, mountainous path, right? So you're the one who decides how you step, how you walk, what considerations you have as you walk. Nobody else will tell me what I should and shouldn't do. And I hope, it's that way with you too. Now, if you're younger, that's a little different. So don't get stuck in the trap of responding to your own emotions. As a man, be in charge of your emotions and guide them. Something I would like to suggest is that you have a plan. It doesn't have to be a really complex plan, but a goal, and a short-term and a long-term goal. Like maybe you want to get in shape, but, as a long-term goal and be fit and lose, 50 pounds. But as a short-term goal, maybe you just want to lose 5 pounds over the next month or two. And you want to, build up more muscle and get rid of that fat. And once you do that, you can keep track of your short-term goals to kind of motivate you and to see if you're on track. But you need to set down the long-term and the short-term goals. And you should certainly break it down into the various areas of your life: financial aspects, emotional aspects, relationship aspects, work aspects, hobby aspects, fulfillment aspects. So long-term goal, and then a short-term goal. And then you can keep, progress. And I believe that as a MGTOW, since you're not obsessed and preoccupied with women, I believe that this is a really good way for a man to, to stay focused. That this is one of the best things that a man can do in life. And one of the worst things that a man can do in life is to look to a woman or to look to a feminine system to guide his behavior. Because it's so fickle. It's a whim, and the man has to guard against allowing the emotions to dictate his behavior. And all these things that I'm talking about are not to suggest that they're absolute, or exclusive. These things are done to a degree, and they're balanced, right? Nobody is suggesting an absolute system. We're suggesting a reevaluating of values. You're not going to change the whole political system. We don't want like an earthquake rippling through. We want to reassess the values. We are out of balance. We as a society are too feminine. We've gone too far in feeling sorry for people, in appeasing people, in taking care of people. It's a terrible mindset. It's a fine mindset if you're a woman and you've got a child. But other than that, it's a very ineffective mindset. I mean, what, do you want, equal representation in, professional basketball between men and women? I mean, how do you feel about that? It doesn't matter how you feel about that. Qualifications, ability, determine your place in a free, competitive market. This is why affirmative action and diversity hiring can't work. And you understand that potentially, initially, as a concept, it might pull on your heartstrings. You might want some sort of, representation, but the deciding factor would always have to be qualifications and ability. And once you corrupt that system, you corrupt the entire system. Understand that once you adopt these policies, and we have, and this philosophy and this mindset, that it ripples throughout all the other institutions. So now you've got affirmative action for grading underperforming students. You've got the socialization of achievement. It's like, well, this person hasn't achieved as much as this other person. And it's like, well, we'll just adjust the scales so that everybody feels good about their achievements. But then when you take this into a merit-based system like airplane pilots or managers, business managers, And you say, even though this person has received lower grades their whole lives and has been indulged emotionally, they've actually been, given the higher grade. So they're not qualified to fly, to fly the plane, even though we're saying they can fly the plane. They're not qualified for the job we're giving them, right? So you're not really doing them any favors. You're setting them up for failure, and you're setting them up for, lack of performance and misery. It's much better to be, proficient and perform well at what you do than to always be not up to the task. I think this gives some insight to the feminist mindset, being not up to the task and making all the excuses and wanting equality of outcome and wanting the socialization of accomplishment. And you can understand now that it is destructive to the free competitive system, which can only be built on merit and ability. So I've recently set up over on Patreon. And it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody's support over there. And there are some videos that I'm not allowed to release on YouTube, that I won't release on YouTube. Okay, well, YouTube tells me that I'm not allowed to release them, because I would release almost everything. And I'll provide the links to those videos over on Patreon. Also, sometimes I release my videos on a schedule, and I will gladly list the unlisted videos to everyone over on Patreon so that they can get advanced screenings of the videos. And I have some other plans, so check me out over on Patreon, and I would appreciate it. Let me know what you think about it over as well. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. So please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.